Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Saturday, December 21st. And it seems like the Yankees have added a corner piece to their infield, but we got some breaking news. Ricky Henderson, it sounds like, has passed away. So I want to send my condolences to the great Ricky Henderson, whose birthday is on Christmas. And it's a little bit of a tradition of mine on Christmas to wish Ricky Henderson a happy birthday on Facebook and X. It's just a post I make every year because I always remember that. But rest in peace to Ricky Henderson, one of the all-time greats in baseball. But let's talk a little bit about Paul Goldschmidt. The Yankees picked him up. You guys saw my brief 2-minute reaction video. I was taking my wife to go see The Lion King, the new one. Absolutely amazing. Just the way they can do these 3D movies, all animated, everything looks real now, great music and all that stuff. But I loved it, and that's the end of my review. Let's get to baseball. Paul Goldschmidt seems like a stopgap. He's 37 years old. Let's take a look at his stats. Last year, 245, 22 home runs. He still stole 11 bases. He's got a 302 on-base percentage, not great. If you look at the numbers the last 3 years, they have dipped. 317 a couple of years ago in 2022, where he was the MVP, and it is worth noting that the Yankees will have both 2022 MVPs on the team. Next year, they're going to have 4 MVPs because they've got Bellinger and they've got Giancarlo Stanton, who won in 2017 in the National League. Now, Judge, probably the only one who has a chance at winning it next year, but you know, being an MVP, that's experience, that's, baseball talent, and having those guys on the roster, even if they're past their prime, can help out some of the younger guys, can help out with, guys like Ben Rice. Hopefully we'll learn a little bit from Paul Goldschmidt over there at first base. Now, Goldschmidt, about a league average defender at first base right now. He's an above average base runner for his age, 57th percentile on StatCast. You look at the spray chart, still has massive power. I mean, some of these home runs are absolute bombs. He can hit the ball to all fields. He still hits the ball very hard. He's in the 92nd percentile. Strikes out a lot, doesn't walk a lot, and the bat speed is still above average. So maybe age hasn't quite caught up with him yet, but the thing that concerns me is going through the stats year by year. 317 a couple of years ago with a 404 on base percentage, 982 OPS, but then the OPS dropped over 170 points the next year. He hit 268 with just 25 home runs. He went down in home runs by 10. And then last year, 245 average, 22 home runs, and a 302 on-base percentage. The OPS was down to 716. So he drops about 100 points a year in OPS. That is obviously not ideal. You hope that he has one more good year in him. It's a one-year deal. There's very low risk. If June or July rolls around and he's having a bad year and it doesn't look like he's going to recover, there should be some first basemen available. The Yankees might be able to go out there and get a trade. And plus, you never know what Ben Rice is going to do over the next couple of, months of his development. He had a little bit of a tough ending after a hot start, but maybe he gets into a groove early on and he's feeling good. Maybe he can take over. We'll see. But there's another move coming. The Yankees still need an infielder, and I suspect it's going to be Paul Goldschmidt's good friend, Nolan Arenado, whom a lot of teams are looking for in the trade realm right now. As you can see, still an elite defender, multiple Gold Glove winner. But he's another guy whose stats have fallen off in recent years. Back in 2022, he had 30 home runs, and then 26 the next year, and down to 16 last year. The thing that concerns me about Nolan Arenado is the bat speed, down in the 28th percentile. The chase percentage keeps dropping. Let's take a look at his numbers through time. If we click on the MLB percentile ratings, it goes all the way back to 2015, and you can see his ratings change over time. He's always been an elite defender. He has always had a very good offensive ability, but it's fallen off with age, as it does for a lot of guys, right? The strikeout percentage, always very good, but has fallen off in recent years. 97th percentile back in 2022, and then the next year it drops to the 84th percentile, and then if you go to this year, 92nd percentile. So he's still good at making contact. So that's something the Yankees could use some help with, but I don't think he's as elite at it as he once was. Sweet spot, still hits the ball on the sweet spot. His expected batting average is solid. The guy who hit 260 a couple years ago, 270 last year. I think if he hits 260 and plays great defense, I think he could be a decent pickup, depending on what you have to trade to get him. He's a dead pull hitter. You look at the spray chart. He hits a lot of balls down the line. Some of these are going to be outs at Yankee Stadium, but he won't be using the porch very much. Just not the type of hitter he is. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Let me know what you guys think about Arenado as a possible final piece to the plan B that Brian Cashman seems to be working through. Now, so far, we have added Cody Bellinger, who is a left-handed bat. We've got Dominguez replacing Alex Verdugo, so you still got the lefty bat there. But I still feel like the team could use a little bit more left-handed pop. We'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of the asking price for Arenado, I don't think it'll be super expensive. He does have a no-trade clause, so he can kind of direct where he goes. He turned down a deal to the Houston Astros just a few days ago. Now, I think he would have been fantastic in Houston. I think he would have obliterated those Crawford boxes. There's been some rumors that he was interested in perhaps coming to Boston. That is not out of the realm of possibility. But now that Paul Goldschmidt is at first base, I can see Arenado being the next move. But that brings me to my final concern here. The Yankees are at risk of becoming too right-handed again. We're going to take a look at their depth chart. And as you can see, we've got a few lefties. Austin Wells, obviously a lefty. Ben Rice, who will be getting some playing time behind the dish and first base, I would imagine. He's another one of those guys who's versatile and can play a couple of positions. Left-handed swing, will run into some home runs here and there. Obviously, left-handed bat against righties and Dominguez and Bellinger. Chisholm, full year of Chisholm should be good. So right there, you've got 4 potential left-handed hitters. Against a right-handed pitcher, I would like a 5th one. Obviously, right now, Peraza is your starting third baseman if you go with Chisholm at second base. He's played over there some. He's a top prospect. If you add Arenado, though, another right-handed bat. The rotation, the bullpen, all looking pretty solid right now. I think you just got to work on getting one more infielder to add to the mix, unless you want to go with Peraza. I don't think, as it stands right now, the Yankees have a World Series champion roster. This is not a better roster than the Los Angeles Dodgers. However, they do have a good enough roster to get to the playoffs, maybe to win the AL East. And then you're looking at how healthy is the rotation. A lot of times when you get to the playoffs, what determines how far you go is how good you pitch, right? And the Yankees now have a shutdown closer. They have an elite setup man in Luke Weaver. If Loaiza is healthy, they've got an elite sub setup man. Jake Cousins, Ian Hamilton, neither one of them factored into the postseason much this year. They were hurt, but if they're back and healthy, that's good. And there's a lot of ifs here, but there's a lot of ifs for every team. That should be noted. Mark Leiter, not a lot of confidence in him. We'll see what Fernando Cruz develops into. He's obviously 34 years old. He kind of is what he is at this point, but the Yankees might tweak the way he's used and his pitch arsenal a little bit and be able to maximize his ability. He does have a lot of strikeout possibilities. And then Scott Efros, we'll see if he can bounce back. Hopefully he can become an inning eater again because he's kind of a sidearm guy, and a lot of times that's easier on the arm. But let's take a look at the hypothetical lineup right now as we approach Christmas here. Right now I've got Dominguez leading off. He's your left fielder. Bellinger batting second. He is in center field. I've seen some people say, well, maybe you put Judge back in the number 2 hole, put Bellinger at third. I'm okay with that, but then that would change a few other things. You'd probably have to put Stanton back in the cleanup spot because you don't want to stack the lefties too much. But Dominguez, Bellinger, Judge. I got Wells in the cleanup spot. He hit cleanup a lot this year. He hit cleanup to begin the postseason. I think he's going to take a big step forward this year. But if he doesn't, you drop him out of the cleanup spot. No big deal. Stanton, if he can stay healthy, 30 home runs. Paul Goldschmidt, I mean, if I'm projecting his numbers just based on the trend lines, he's probably a 240 hitter with 15 to 18 home runs this year, average defense, and, maybe he can help tutor Ben Rice to take over. And if not, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a free agent next year, although I think he's going to go elsewhere. I don't think he wants to play for the Yankees. Jazz Chisholm, I've got him going back to second base where he's a natural fit. He came up as a second baseman. Really great arm, so it would be a little bit of a waste to put that arm at second base, but on relay throws, it can be helpful. However, with that short right field porch and Judge in right field, the relays aren't going to be that much of a factor because typically Judge can reach third or home, the two places that the second baseman would be a relay cutoff for without the need of a cutoff. Now, if it's in the right field corner and you got to make a throw to third, maybe to stop somebody from getting a triple, maybe on the road, then yeah, it helps to have a good, strong second base arm, something that Gleyber Torres did not have. We also had, Juan Soto had a very good arm, but he was a little bit too confident in his arm. He would overthrow the cutoff man a lot of times, but he did throw a lot of guys out. So it'll be interesting, how that dynamic shifts. And then Volpe back at shortstop in the number 8 hole where there's not a lot of pressure. Now, you might remember Volpe began last season with an enormously great April and May. He was on fire. He got on base like 34 games in a row. He was a machine. If you can get that for a full season, it solves your leadoff problem. You slide him back into the leadoff spot, but I don't want to put that pressure on him to begin the season. I think he begins the season down in the lineup, and you hope that he can get comfortable, continue to develop. And this year, maybe he hits 260, 270, maybe 15 or 18 home runs and plays good defense. That would be acceptable to me. And right now, if the season began today, Oswald Peraza is my third baseman. I know that Nolan Arenado is an elite defender, but he's also got a price tag with him, and Peraza does not have as much of a price tag. He'd be making the minimum. Now, Arenado obviously tightens up your D, but so does Peraza. The question is, can Peraza hit at the level that Arenado did? Now, Arenado hit 272 this year with 16 home runs. He was 33 years old. Oswald Peraza, I'm going to pull up his numbers. He showed a little bit of pop in the minor leagues, but he hasn't hit for the same average for the last couple of years. Let me just go ahead and pull up his numbers real quick, and we'll take a look. So in the minor leagues, he hit just 243 with 16 home runs and 63 RBIs, but in 371 at-bats. If you go back and look at his stats over the years, though, he has shown some ability to hit for a higher average. He hit 297 in 2021, but he's always been about a 260, 270 hitter in the minors, 268 for his minor league career. So honestly, at this point, I think Arenado's probably a better offensive player. Peraza, it could be a push defensively, though, given the age. Peraza's got a great arm. So be interesting what you guys say in terms of your lineup projections. But right now, it seems like Plan B is falling into place. The Yankees have added Bellinger. They've added Max Fried. They've added Devin Williams. Those are the 3 big moves. And now you're looking into those ancillary moves, those spots to fill in. Goldschmidt at first base, probably Arenado at third base. It sounds like they don't want to sign Bellinger. I keep saying Bellinger. Bregman. It sounds like they don't want to sign Bregman, even though he's somebody that I've kind of been advocating for a little bit. Because there is draft compensation attached, there's been more reports in recent days that, the Yankees are trying to save as many draft picks as they can. They gave up a couple of picks when they signed Max Fried. They got one back when they lost Juan Soto. But they don't want to blow up their whole draft and give up 4 out of their first 6 picks or something like that. So, we'll see how it works out. Ricky Diaz says Josh Donaldson 2.0. I think that no matter how it works out, both Goldschmidt and Arenado would hit for a better average than Josh Donaldson because they're different types of hitters. Josh Donaldson was a power first guy. I remember watching this video of him on MLB Network, and you can probably find it on YouTube somewhere, where he was talking about his approach at the plate, and that was to hit the bottom of the ball and lift and separate, right? And as a power hitter, the power remains strong and sometimes deep into your 30s. But as you lose reaction time, as you lose your vision as you get older, all that stuff becomes a little less precise, and he became basically an all or nothing hitter. I don't think that either Goldschmidt or Arenado is an all or nothing hitter at this point. Same goes for Bregman, but sounds like he might be off the table. So, I'm just kind of looking at this team right now. I'm looking at this lineup, and I'm thinking this team can probably win the AL East as it stands right now, especially when you factor in the pitching. I still would prefer one more big bat. I still would like a little bit more power, preferably. I wish there was a left-handed hitting third baseman available that had some pop and could play defense. But as far as I know, there's nobody out there like that that's currently available. So, Lori C says, lift and separate. That sounds like a bra. Yikes. Yeah, maybe I need to be more careful with my language there. But anyway, once again, in case you're joining, we've seen a lot of comments about this. Ricky Henderson has passed away. Ricky Henderson, I've still got a Ricky Henderson figure. This is a McFarlane figure from his time with the Yankees in the 80s. He wore number 24. He used to get on base all the time for Don Mattingly, one of the true amazing personalities in baseball history. There was an old story about how he got $1 million bonus check, and he just put it on the wall. He never cashed it, right? He just stuck it on the wall, and then when the A's did their accounting at the end of the year, they came up with like an extra $1 million, and they're like, where the hell is this $1 million coming from? They reached out to Ricky, and they found out he'd never cashed it. He just framed it. So there was another story where I believe it was after his year with the Blue Jays, or maybe it was with the Blue Jays. It might have been with the Mariners. He was teammates with John Olerud for the second time. Whichever team it was, doesn't really matter. And John Olerud had a metal plate in his head, and he used to wear a batting helmet in the field. It was one of those no ear flap, hard helmets, right? And Ricky Henderson was in the dugout, and he sees Olerud, who he had just played a season with, and he says, I played last year with another guy who wore a helmet in the field. And Olerud says, yeah, that was me, Ricky. We were on the same team. So Ricky Henderson, a baseball legend, gone too soon. Greatest leadoff hitter ever. While we're looking at it, we might as well take a look at Ricky Henderson's career stats, because at 65 years old, gone way too soon, he had over 100 WAR for his career, 111 WAR. The on-base percentage for his career, 401. He played until he was 44 years old, so he's only been out of the game 19 years, and he's gone. Look at those stolen base numbers. 100 stolen bases in his first full year. He had 56 steals, 130, 108. When he was with the Yankees from 1985 through it was 89. Let's go to 1989. Look at these numbers. I mean, 289 batting average, 399 on base percentage. He averaged 17 home runs. He averaged 7.2 WAR. Just to put that in perspective, the WAR for Juan Soto this year was 7.9, so he was almost a Juan Soto level WAR. And he had a couple of years over that. In 85, when he was on that team with MVP Don Mattingly and scored 146 runs with Mattingly driving in 145 runs, 9.9 WAR. I mean, those are Aaron Judge numbers. And then 8.7 WAR in 1989 between two teams. He didn't have a great start with the Yankees that year, 247. He got traded over to Oakland and did better. Now, I mean, this guy had some monster numbers. I mean, you look at the hits, 3,055 hits, 66 triples, 1,400 stolen bases, something that will probably never be broken in our lifetime. So, RIP to Ricky Henderson, one of the greats. Look how many teams he played for. Just one of the all-timers. So, a legend in baseball and an all-time Yankee legend, gone way too soon at the age of 65. But I wanted to hop on here and talk a little bit about the Paul Goldschmidt and the probable Nolan Arenado deal that I think is going to happen in the next couple of days, probably before Christmas, from all the chatter going on about that move. So if they don't get Nolan Arenado, that brings Bregman back into play. But let me know in the comments, in the chat, what you guys think, what you guys are looking at for the roster. I see a lot of people are down on this move. I urge you not to be too pessimistic about it. I'm sure that some of you are getting Vernon Wells or Kevin Youkilis or Troy Tulowitzki flashbacks, and I don't blame you. With Cashman's track record, that's entirely appropriate. But let's try and be positive, right? This is the time of year for hope. Let's be hopeful that the Yankees can bounce back and make it back to the World Series. But like our beloved mod, Lori C. says, hope is not a strategy. I'll see you guys when I see you. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.